Hey everybody, as frequent viewers of this channel will know, Ableton Move was an insta-buy for me when it was released in 2024. Seamless integration into live, tried and tested instruments and FX and a slick form factor turned my gear acquisition syndrome up to 11. Unfortunately, the little Groovebox had been collecting dust ever since, mostly because of a lack of essential features we will talk about in a bit. However, not only did Ableton iron out major flaws in firmware 2.0, Move also got hacked in the most beautiful way possible and is now capable of running classic synths right on the machine. Just in case you missed it back in the day, Move is a 4-track Groovebox based on a CPU found in mid-priced smartphones, MPC-like pads, and all internal instruments are based on Ableton Live plugins like Drum Rack, Wavetable, the VA Synth Drift, and a sampler for playing sounds chromatically. Every track lets you add 2 FX from Live's collection, and you can channel your inner Rick Rubin with a utilitarian master chain. While this modest selection of sound generators and processors is far from complete, it allows you to open Move sets on your desktop version, quite similar to Live Note known from mobile devices. It doesn't work the other way around though. These limitations aside, my main point of criticism was the lack of audio tracks, a shame given the fact that Ableton's warp time stretch algorithms are one of Live's main USPs since the early 2000s. It took them a while, but it works great in firmware 2 now. In addition to this essential improvement, there are numerous other gimmicks like audio over Wi-Fi that work surprisingly well, MIDI routings that actually deserve the name, and implementation of more FX and presets. But that's not what we're here for today. The hack formerly known as Move Everything is now called Schwung and does not replace the existing firmware of the instrument. It just adds another layer of functionality without messing with a normal workflow. In order to get the most out of the device, make sure your firmware is upgraded to 2.0, but the new features are worth it alone anyway. Download the installer from schwung.dev for free. Make sure Move is in the same Wi-Fi as the computer you're using for installation and setup, and as you've already committed yourself to installing an unofficial software suite wipe-coded by a non-developer which will most probably void your warranty, carelessly click through the installing process, enter numbers, confirm stuff, and you're good to go. Well, almost. The installer will show you a URL that opens the Schwung Manager. You can either install modules independently or click on the Install All box, which might take a while. Implementing the new instruments and FX is
super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Select one of your tracks, load an original preset that doesn't produce any sound, for example a sampler template, press Shift Track to assign the MIDI out channel to the Schwung slot you want to use, and then long press the track button until 5 boxes appear. The first one is dedicated to MIDI effects like chords, velocity scaling, multiple arpeggiators, one of them comparably complex, and the inevitable Euclidean sequences. The second box lets you load instruments with a 303 emulation, being the first in the alphabetically sorted list. It even boasts a Devilfish mod. As you have already figured out, these boxes depict a signal chain, so number 3 and 4 are reserved for audio FX. We will have a closer look at the algorithmic goodness a little later. The last one is all about setting up your chain, including menus for encoder assignment, rudimentary mixing, MIDI setup, and hell yeah, 2 LFOs. which can be used to modulate more or less every parameter of the chain. Another chain can be inserted in the master bus.
Schwung is not only an independent project which is not approved, endorsed or supported by Ableton, some of the more desirable modules require access to copyrighted code. This demonstration is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Don't break any laws, kids!
The tonal options are plentiful even for those who don't want to dabble in semi-legal data archaeology. You've already heard the somewhat decent 303 emulation, but there's also a version of Text delivering patch-compatible takes on the iconic DX7. Mutable instruments finest, including plaids and braids. Experimental stuff ranging from West Coast bleeps and bloops to swarm oscillators, a breakbeat generator, ravey saws, crude chiptune tones, and of course some fabulous stuff. While the SH-101, Juno, Oberheim, and Wurlitzer emulation might be too old-school freeware plugin for synth snobs, there are emulators capable of running the original firmware of true classics, namely the Roland JV880 and Axis Virus A, B and C. Schwung Manager makes it incredibly easy to install them if you are legally allowed to. Even if this is not for you, there are countless other ways to expand the instrument with SFC multi-sample support, internet radio streaming, and please leave a comment that I forgot about your favorite module. Feel free to sweeten these tones with the usual chorus, reverb, and delay plugins. Ported for Schwung, there is a vocoder I don't understand, real-time granular FX, clap plugin support, and all kinds of creative sound destruction. The PSX reverb is a nice touch.
Let's combine a few of the instruments with an Ableton drum kit and do some rough mixing with the Schwung signal chains. We've been mainly talking about the additional sound modules and FX units, but there's also quite a few modules that expand the instrument's workflow capabilities drastically.
It is great to see features that make the lives of visually impaired people easier.
Screen reader on. TTS engine. eSpeak-ng.
Especially given the time you will spend diving through the often deep menus of Schwung. Non-real time stamp separation is nice to have. There's an Autosampler, a file browser, wave editing, slicing, and last but certainly not least, an SP404 style 30-second skip back buffer, which helps you to find out that the career-changing idea you just had wasn't so rad after all. Cycling 74 aficionados will enjoy the RNBO move takeover, but I leave alpha stage software to the true alphas.
As much as I appreciate the long-awaited features of Move 2.0, the Schwung ecosystem demonstrates impressively where the world of music technology might be heading. Even established brands have a hard time keeping up with community efforts fueled by LLM-based code, a rare case in which AI-driven innovation is not to the disadvantage of music-making people. Yes, the whole thing is still a little rough around the edges, with a few crashes here and there, but all that also applies to many products of corporate juggernaut. However, there might be a problem if you want to use Schwung for getting stuff done. Since I started working on this video, 3 new instruments were released, and it is very tempting to check them out instead of actually making music. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to like, subscribe, become a patron and use one of the links down below to support the channel regardless of what your gas commands you to buy.